O seeker, listen to your heart's true yearning. Don't sleep. Give up one night of your life to the vigil. Don't sleep. You have spent 1,000 nights in the cradle of sleep. I ask for one night. For the sake of the friend, don't sleep. The loving witness never sleeps by night. Follow his ways. Give yourself to him. Don't sleep. Beware of that woeful night when you cry out in agony, "O God." Don't sleep. That night when death comes to welcome you. By the dread of that night, O weary one, don't sleep. Even stones will cry when bound by the weight of those chains. You are not a stone. Remember those chains. Don't sleep. Though the night tempts you like a beautiful maiden, do not drink from her cup. Fear the morning after. Don't sleep. God says, "My dear ones will stay up with me at night." If you hear these words, don't sleep. Fear that horrible night when no refuge can be found. Store up your provisions tonight. Beware, don't sleep. The saints find their treasure when the world is asleep. For the sake of ever-giving love, don't sleep. When your spirit is old and worn, he will give you a new one. Then you will become the pure spirit of all. O hopeful one, don't sleep. I have told you again and again, go to that inner silence. But still, you do not hear me. Give me one night, and I will give you 1,000 in return. Don't sleep. Sleep is an essential activity for all of us. Without it, we simply could not live. Our mind and body need this precious time each night to unwind, recover, and rebuild. But sometimes there is some value in not sleeping one night, or even several nights. I know, this is definitely easier said than done, and I'll be the first one to say that I love my sleep. But there is something truly deep and beautiful about staying awake till dawn and using that time for prayer, reflection, or meditation. Although we can arguably perform these spiritual activities any time of the day, there's something about performing them when the world is asleep that helps us better tap into the quiet and peaceful awareness inside us. Since God never sleeps, what better way to connect with Him than to forgo sleep for one night? He is always watching what we do. He knows our deepest secrets, hidden thoughts, and biggest desires. And rather than just being a passive observant in our daily life, He constantly sends messages, people, and things into our life to remind us of His presence, and ultimately of our true purpose in life, which is to return back home to Him. So why not skip a night of sleeping to make this journey home? During the day, there is always a hustle and bustle going about. People are contacting you all the time. Tasks and responsibilities pop up every hour, and the mind is running 1,000,000 miles per minute. But in the dead of night, when everyone is fast asleep, you can be awake and your soul can connect with God. Even if you do nothing at all and simply feel the silence, stillness, and emptiness of the night, you are connecting with Him in a way that is not as intimate if done throughout the day. After all, you are sacrificing something very near and dear to you, your sleep. If you sacrifice something for someone, that means you love them very much. And so if you sacrifice your food, your time, your sleep, your being for the beloved, He will give you so much more in return. For just one night of sleeplessness, He will give you a lifetime of awakening. I have even experienced this myself, having spent a few nights in complete peace with the beloved. Even though my mind and body were exhausted, there was something invigorating about ignoring the body's desires, ignoring the ego's desires, and allowing the soul to awaken. The best part is that you don't even have to be awake the whole night. Even just 1 hour past your usual bedtime, if done with complete sincerity and silence, will put you in a state of inner peace and complete awareness. Rumi is imploring us to stay awake and not be tempted by sleep, to not be bound by the chains of sleepiness, and to instead find our real treasure in our heart's true yearning. But what does he really mean here? Is he after all talking about a single night, or is there something more here? When I read this poem, I appreciate its layers of meaning. On the surface, the message is very clear. Don't sleep, stay awake, and connect with God. But when I take a closer look, I can't help but think that the night Rumi is referring to is actually symbolic. Yes, it can refer to a single night, but it can just as easily refer to an entire period in our life characterized by ignorance, suffering, and darkness. For what does night ultimately symbolize but darkness? If we experience some sort of sadness or suffering in our life, you can say that we are undergoing a dark night. In fact, haven't you ever heard the expression, the night is always darkest before the dawn? This obviously means that things usually get worse before they get better. But have hope and stay strong, because the good times or the dawn will surely come. So if we imagine that the night here is a dark chapter in our life, do we want to remain asleep and ignorant of our suffering and have that suffering repeat itself each and every night? Or do we want to wake up and finally break free from those chains of suffering? It's kind of a rhetorical question. I think most of us would probably want to awaken. We want to discover our true self and purpose in life, which is symbolized by dawn, or the arrival of light, peace, and wisdom. This awakening is the heart's true yearning that Rumi is talking about. To achieve a level of connection with God so deep that we forget entirely about our ego or illusionary self and come to know who we really are. Consciousness. This consciousness is our most natural and perfect state. But we have forgotten what it is like to live from this state. Instead, we prefer to live under the control of our ego, which is a mere shadow of this state. We prefer this false identity or sense of self we have created, forgetting the truth that we are so much more than just our name, our upbringing, our beliefs, and so on. We are pure consciousness. But we won't know this if we are asleep all night, will we? We have to stay awake and be awake. We have to give up one night of our life to this vigil, to this silent and empty state. This is where life's real treasure is found. It's not found during the day when we work tirelessly for money, fame, power, status, or possessions. It's found during the night when we give up working on these things. This fast-paced and egocentric life tempts us each night to fall asleep and then to repeat the same madness the next day. It doesn't want us to connect with our soul or God to break the cycle. But believe me, there is a cycle. We have spent 1,000 nights, as Rumi says, in the cradle of sleep. For most of us, 1,000 nights is barely cutting it. We have spent entire years asleep, unaware of this beautiful gift that presents itself each night. The gift that is none other than our true selves. The gift that is none other than God. So I know that's a lot to pack in just one video, but I hope that this commentary helped you see the poem in a different and deeper perspective. It's more than just physically staying awake. It's about spiritually staying awake and using what precious time you have on this earth to find your way back home and achieve a peace and happiness that you are yearning after. If you're still watching this video, I deeply believe you are one of the seekers Rumi is talking about. The most important part is to keep going and keep growing. Don't stop or be satisfied with the progress you've made on your journey. Keep growing and be drawn to God's voice, pulling you closer and closer to Him. And if poems and videos like these help you in that regard, then please don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest videos that come available on this channel. I truly believe that we are all building this amazing platform together that can help and inspire all of us towards awakening. Without your support, and definitely God's support, I certainly would not be able to come this far or to keep going. So thank you guys for being a part of this channel and for wanting to grow and awaken. And with that, I look forward to seeing you all on this next video.